सर कैमरा ऑफ कर दीजिए।
बंद है क्या? करीब करीब
ना
पंकज को पूछने के स्टार्ट करिए।
Yes, are we ready to begin? अच्छा बिकॉज काउंटडाउन तो इसमें शायद खत्म हो गया एंड दोनों आ गए हैं, मतलब मैम भी आ गए हैं एंड सर इज ऑल्सो देयर। तो मैसेज आया हुआ है तो नीचे जिसको आप आ गए हो
तो स्टार्ट। सर को अनम्यूट करने को बोलो ना।
देखिए फरीद शुरू करो।
Start again.
Good evening. Welcome to this webinar with Geeta Chandran. Geeta ji, namaskar, sat sri akal, and as we say in Tamil, amalai vanakkam. This webinar has happened since some time, and we are very grateful to you for having taken out this little short time for us to interact with us. Today, you're going to be viewed by almost 5,000 students, their families, and almost about 500 teachers and staff. So this is a great pride and a very proud moment for me that we are representing 3 schools, the Delhi Public School Lava Nagpur, Delhi Public School Nashik, and of course the Delhi Public School Varanasi, where you have been there for some time. Before we begin and start asking you questions, I think it's customary for us to introduce you to the audience, and we're doing it in a very different way this time. One of my students has prepared a little dance presentation on your achievements and life. So I will just pause for a minute till we see the video.
Jai Hind. This is Prarabdh Bajpai of the Delhi Public School Varanasi, taking great pleasure in introducing you to the artist of this evening. Geeta Chandran is a celebrated artist, a star performer, a reputed Nrityacharya, Bharatnatyam multiplier, Geeta Chandran, skillfully weaves abstract notions of joy, beauty, values, aspirations, myth, and spirituality. Geeta is the founder president of Natya Vriksha and is the artistic director of the company too. In her efforts to enhance the entire universe, she engages in a strategic range of dance-related activities, such as performing, teaching, conducting, singing, collaborating, writing, and speaking to new youth audiences. Her niche interests include environmental protection, gender equity, hygiene, arts education, and being a spokesperson for larger cultural issues that affect artists. She is on several boards of schools and colleges and is also a nominated member of several committees set up by the Government of India. It is no wonder then that such a celebrated artist should receive awards. She has been awarded the Padma Shree in 2007. The Sangeet Natak Akademi Award came in 2016. And this year, she is the Tagore National Fellow. I'm sure all of you are going to enjoy this session just as I am. Happy viewing.
The introduction by Prarabdh Bajpai. Thank you. That's wonderful. All right. Before we take on the questions, Geeta ji, we would like you to make an opening statement.
Namaskar. It's a matter of great joy for me to address so many students, parents, and teachers at the same time, because we as artists always are traveling, performing, and we don't get to really meet this particular constituency very often. Unless, of course, I go for a spikmake to a school, even then I don't get to talk to parents. So this is a special privilege. Thank you so much, Mukesh ji. And we go back a long way, Mukesh ji and me. And we thought that it would be a good idea to talk about dance and to take questions about dance, its potential, and what it's capable of, particularly in this time when we are all, in a sense, locked in, not locked out, locked in. And I don't think there's anybody I know who hasn't resorted to listening to music or moving or reading. I don't think there's anybody in this locked in version where one hasn't resorted to this. And if you haven't resorted to this, I'm sure you would have had to see a psychologist. So the ones who haven't done it, please do it. And the ones who've gone to a psychologist, stop going to a psychologist, just pick up a book or listen to music or just move with your body. Because this is very basic to our nature. And that's when I just did a workshop sometime back for non-dancers, for people who have never danced in their life. And set me thinking what I should do, because I didn't want to make it heavy. I didn't want to make it very classical. So I just picked up 4 bits of music, 2 from folk, 1 from Western classical music, Tchaikovsky actually, and one from our very old Bollywood, but older song. And so just put these, a medley of these, and just put it on and asked everybody to dance. It was a blessing because I couldn't see the screens. I said, please switch off your screens and just dance. And it was amazing because I was also dancing here to all those bits of music. And we just realized the body just moves so effortlessly to these different forms of music. And you really don't need to be worried about grammar or anything. It's just your breath, the space, your body. I think these three things have so much potential. So much can be done with it. I read an article recently where we say in our normal routine of life, we use only 20% of the capacity of the body. So 80% of the body is going unexplored. We don't know the potential of the body. So I think it's all the more reason when we are in the house, when we can't go out to the playground, we can't go for a walk, to understand the body and see what signals it is giving. We are all in front of the computer for hours on end. So I think it is time to think what we can do in the house while having fun. So it's not necessary that you need to go to a dance class to learn, because this is a wrong thing. Everybody has a different perception of dance. Dance is not necessarily learned only to perform. Dance can be therapy. Dance can be catharsis. Dance can be just an aesthetic experience. Dance for many people is something that they've been denied for many years, so they come back and learn it so that they can express themselves. So dance makes you a more communicative person, because body language is so important. I see many children, they are so bright. They say that they are 90 percenters and 98 percenters, and they have drooping shoulders, and they come and stand before you. And I'd say, what is this? You need to take care of your body. And if I have 3 students applying for a job, and I always quote this, and I have, 2 of them with fantastic certificates and the toppers, and I have another person who is not that much of a topper, but still good, but having great body language. I'd rather take that person than take these 2. So I think one has to realize that when one comes before you, it's not your degrees or it's not your great things you've done, but your aura, your personality, the way you communicate, the way you express yourself. Are you going to be convincing to the staff, to other people when you talk? You have conviction in what you're doing. I think these things matter a lot. And I think dance makes you come out of those little holes of inhibition that you have, and it makes you understand your body and helps you really express anything and everything. Because we do express normally, because you see a friend and said, why are you looking low today? You ask. That's because there's something in the face, there's something in the body language that is telling you the person is not the normal bubbly self or normal happy self. So we do exude certain expressions even without us realizing. So if we do it realizing it, I think it's even better. So this is the only thing I would like to tell everybody, no matter what the age is. You can just sit and dance. You can just get up and just move. Put any music. Today, with the click of a button, you have, I think, the whole gamut with you. We are so lucky now, because had this lockdown been many years back, I think we wouldn't have had half the things that we have with the computer and with the mobile. That would have been much harder. But today we have so much access to information, to music, to so many different kinds of theater available. So I think we should make use of that and try and see where are the gaps and how we could make ourselves better communicators, better people who are aesthetically aware of our surroundings. Because dance brings together so many things. It brings together spirituality, it brings together philosophy, mythology, aesthetics, beautiful sense of understanding of colors, forms, space. So, the canvas is very, very large, and you could be interested in any one of them. Of course, poetry, music, rhythm. So even one can draw you towards it, and then you kind of explore everything else. So dance really is not something, as many people understand, something that is learned only to perform. It is learned very, very many different reasons. And I have so many students who come into the class and say, ma'am, I don't want to perform, but I want to learn and be engaged in the process and become a better person and enrich myself. I think this is such a beautiful thing to do. And this should be the takeaway for all of you young kids, that please do something, one activity in life where there are no stakes, where you don't have to prove yourself. I think we all did dance music with no stakes. We never thought we were going to become, performers or anything like that. We came from very strict backgrounds where taking up a job and being self-reliant was very important. Economic independence was important. Parents said that these things also can be learned, but your academics is also important. Yes. But we did all that and then came to a point, because we had throughout kept the dance and music alive, not just as a hobby class, but as a serious passion. So because of that, at one point, we could choose. We could make that transition. So talent combined with very good training, I again say, because many children are very good, but they say the auntie next door has to teach. But for engineering and medicine, they will go anywhere, and spend crores. But when it comes to dance and music, the auntie has to be next door or the uncle has to be next door, and you have to learn. You have to seek a guru out. Looking for a guru and going to a guru is very, very important in the fine arts. So this is the only advice. Dance you cannot create dancers in schools. Schools, what best they can do is identify talent, tell the parents, this child is very, very gifted. Please take this child to a very good guru so that the child can progress in a very professional, good training and go ahead. Rest of the children, I think, must aim to learn dance and music, firstly to understand your own identity, where you come from, your tradition, how old this is and how venerated this is. And so many great gurus and so many sages have put in all their effort and all their energies and creativity into creating something like this. And when we go outside and perform, they say, wow, we've not seen anything like this. And when we come back and when we don't see our own children telling us the same thing, we do feel bad. Why is this gap? Why is it that something so beautiful, something so evolved and so complex, our children are not able to? So I think schools, the basic thing is to create rasikas. We need very well-informed rasikas. For that, I think you need to read biographies, you need to understand what are the various forms in our country, you need to expose yourself to these forms, you need to dialogue with these forms, you need to also read a lot about these forms, how their evolution has happened, what is the history of these forms, because otherwise we can't have informed audiences. So I think this is a very large thing, but given today's context, what I would again come back to is that this is a great time when you are at home to actually every morning, if you can't exercise, many people find exercising very boring. I also can't exercise. Just simply sitting and going to a gym and exercising is not my cup of tea. I need some engagement of the mind. Just put on any kind of music and just move. I think you just have to move, get that body moving, So I think that is the first step to understanding what is possible with body vis-a-vis space.
Thank you. You've covered a lot in the opening statement. I was reminded of this song that we used to sing when we were young, Ke dar lage to gana gao.
Exactly.
And now I think after listening to you, I say, khushi ho to jhumo aur nacho.
Absolutely.
That was a wonderful advice that you've given to the kids. That takes me to my first question, Geeta. You said, put on music, move. What is the difference between a movement that I will have in the morning with music and perhaps a formal, structurized dance form? What is the difference? Why was it necessary for you to codify, structurize the entire form when it could have been just a free dance?
Yes. See, when the Vedas, the 4 Vedas were there was chaos around, and they needed one more form which could, through that form, engage the people, entertain the people, and at the same time bring back values. So the 5th Veda is considered to be the Natya Veda.
Natya Shastra.
So Natya Veda is the 5th Veda, and it draws upon all the 4 Vedas. I don't want to make it very technical. It draws from each of the 4 Vedas. It takes the best of each, and then the 5th Veda was created. So there is a purpose. When we dance the classical, there is a purpose. That's why you need a grammar. It's not just moving of the hands and legs. There is a eternal Shashwat values that we talk about in dance, in our Natya. Dance, actually, our great gurus never allow the word dance. They say Natya, Natya Veda. This is, dance is a very borrowed Western, and it doesn't really the essence of what we talk about when we say, dance. So Natya is the classical dance form. The grammar is from the Natya Shastra. And I think the idea was to entertain and at the same time to give some values to society, so that society becomes much more based on values rather than very, very free and loose. So that was the purpose, and it continues to be the purpose, to entertain at the same time to elevate. Because I think the 3 namaskars that we do right in the beginning establishes that, where we do 1 namaskar here, 1 namaskar here, and 1 namaskar here. So this is the highest energy, source of power, whatever that. And here is to the guru, the teacher, who gives you the way and the source and the medium. And this is to the audience who is there. So we operate in these 3 levels, where the audience, through what the guru gives you, you take them to that level of ecstasy. So I think that is the basic purpose of the dance. So when you learn dance, obviously you have a certain technique with which you can communicate, you can say a lot of things very meaningfully, you can draw from mythology, you can draw from a lot of poetry, you can draw from a lot of literature, and you can bring it forth and communicate through that very, very codified grammar. But when I say you should move, that is the first step, to let the body loose and to let the body just understand. If I have to show a hug, I should be able to do it. Why am I inhibited and I do something like this and, oh, is somebody watching? Just let go and just do. And if I have to show horror or scared or anything, or even joy. Right now, why do we do horror? We anyway are experiencing horror. So if you have to just do joy, wow, fantastic, isn't it? So I think that to be able to do is my first step when I said, you just start moving. If you start moving, you lose that inhibition and stiffness in the body. And that takes you to the next level of exploring what you want to do with it, what are the levels of flexibility that you can have with the body, and if you want to express something more. Now, certain bits of music, when you hear, there is a certain association. Some music I hear, I feel it's spring. So why not show the branches? Why not show the flowers? Why not show the sky? Why not show beauty around? Why not show the breeze? Now, these are very simple things. So slowly you start graduating to maybe giving a certain mood or a sentiment or a situation to a music and try and do it. So I think we begin like this for a non-initiated group of people, because I think dance really speaks to everybody. I don't think being a classical dancer, I'm saying that it is not the priority of only a few who can dance. Everybody can dance. I feel that, and I think that this is true. And it's just that it's always seen as a performing art, that you have to perform before an audience. But I think first you need to dance for yourself.
True. I think you almost echoed what Prabhu did, huh? Anybody can dance.
Anybody can.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Geeta ji, now we will have Arshi, a student of DPS Lava Nagpur, ask her first question to you. So I'll pass on the video to, yes, I can see Arshi. Arshi, you may ask your first question, Betty.
Hi, Arshi.
Namaste, ma'am. So, my first question for you is there a connection between learning an art form and development of one's personality?
Yes, I think there is, because it depends on why you are learning something, you know, because there has to be a sense of purpose. There are people who are 5 to 6 years into the dance, and suddenly I ask that child, can you just write a paragraph as to why you're learning dance? Because constantly, I think goals have to be redefined. Constantly, goals have to be chalked out. So unless you're passionate about something, the essence of learning doesn't come out. So if you are very passionate, it's not about wanting to prove yourself in that discipline, but you have to be passionate about it. If you are passionate about it, it's going to impact your entire style of living, your whole lifestyle. Because every art form has the potential to change somebody's lifestyle, change somebody's life, enrich your soul. But you have to be passionate about it, and you can't dabble in it. I see many of the youngsters dabbling in one thing, and then they say, when the teacher gets strict, they say, oh, now I don't want to do this, let me jump to something else. I think continuity, staying power, passion, these are things which are required to actually make an art form your own, so that it can impact you as a person.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really informative.
Hello. Hello, Geeta. Yeah. My next question to you is,
Yes.
you trained in apart from Bharatnatyam, you've trained into mathematical statistics also. How do you think that has helped you as a performer in dance as well? Is there a connection between math and dance?
I've been thinking a lot about this of late, because I did science in class 11 and 12 also. So I think for me personally, I can only talk about myself. I'm very methodical. I think that whole idea of being very organized comes from that science and maths background. If I have to do a project, I do extensive research. I'm very methodical about writing everything. I'm still not an iPad, and then I still have to write with a pen and in a diary. I have endless diaries for different projects of mine. But I love to write. So I'm very organized. I put down things for the day. I put down things for the week. I put down things what I have to achieve in the month. And that way, I think that whole organized mindset comes from, I think, formal learning that has come out of, and in particularly maths, because of counter rhythm. In Bharatanatyam particularly, we have a lot of counter rhythm, and we have a lot of mathematics. So I think it becomes much easier to compute and to do, supposing you're doing a cycle of 3 and you have to fit cycles of 4 and other things on it. So it becomes very easy to get your multiples right and to see how it can be worked. So yes, of course, that's incidental. I mean, even an arts students can have that knack of doing it. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I think the organization part and to be very systematic has come certainly from my formal training and education part of it.
Brilliant. Because you see, as a teacher over the years, whenever I've looked at children, who are good at math, somehow they're also good at music, especially the tal that they have, the rhythm that. So I always thought that the structures that we had in the tal are almost fractions, the thali and the kali that we have. So that's the reason why I was prompted to ask you this question.
Maybe there's something in the brain, which is wired in such a way that,
right.
it's the aptitudes are pretty similar. and you see
True.
a lot of
Because
mathematics.
when you study the brain, you know, you talk of these are two different parts of the brain. They are on the two different halves, right? The left and the right. So, but well, that's the merging of that. Thank you very much for throwing light on that. I think we'll move on to Nashik now. I will invite Simran from Nashik to ask her first question.
Then, ma'am. So my first question to you is, you founded Natya Vriksha. So please, can you share the reason for choosing this name?
In front of my house, there is a beautiful Gulmohar tree. And whenever I am sad, I talk to the tree. Whenever I'm very happy, I talk to the tree. I know almost all the birds that come to the tree. We have parrots, pigeons, crows, sparrows. We have lots coming there. And I have always been very close to nature. And even through my dance, I've used the vocabulary of dance to communicate environment in a big way. So when I had to start, I couldn't think of anything more appropriate than Natya Vriksha, the tree that dances. So I think that was a natural choice that came to me. And I guess even today, I get up and report to the tree.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Simran, is that a satisfying answer to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think, Geeta, I will just add, I think let the Natya Vriksha grow like the Vriksha grows, and all the best for that aspect. Coming to the pandemic that we are going through, you know, from raising the happiness quotient of the individual human being to perhaps raising the happiness quotient of the nation, how do you think a cultural ambassador like you can contribute to reviving the economy?
Lots has been said in the last few days about this. And I feel after the World War, the first thing that we did that was asked to be done was to build a huge state-of-the-art performing arts center. So I think when we think of a new normal, it becomes very, very important to have a sense of continuity, a sense of history, a sense of reference. And for all that, the arts are going to be very crucial. And the arts will have to also see how it can link to education, because I feel arts and tourism is not happening for a while. So arts and education have to really join hands and see how we can actually, we've been talking all the time of interdisciplinary learning and, you know, integrating arts in our curriculum, etc., etc. But I think this is the time when each one of us as artists, I feel very strongly that we need to put in that resource very quickly into the children so that they can use this as a tool of resilience, of having this strength within them, which can see them through difficult times. So I feel the happiest people today are the artists, because whatever it is, you can lock them up in a room and hours on and they can just sing and they can be on their own. They don't want food, they don't want anything. I know of my students, many of them who have not had this kind of privilege of time to practice are really working for 6 to 7 hours. So I think this is so if we are not going to be a society driven by passion, I think we're all going to end up being very, very depressed. So we need to actually nurture a passion, whatever it is. I'm not saying it should be only music and dance. It can be anything. It can be theater. It can be, you know, cinema, creating now the possibility of working from home. I see so many youngsters making such lovely little films and clips. So I think so much can be done in terms of creativity. But we need something to actually engage ourselves, where our heart is involved. And we need to do that. Otherwise, our generations are going to find it very difficult to deal with life, with the stresses that are going to be there, and which the kind of people losing jobs, people losing their salary cuts and so on and so forth. I think if you're not having a passion which can really engage your mind and keep your mind off a lot of the ugliness, a lot of sadness, a lot of the other things, this becomes extremely, extremely crucial to engage and to help students really to use this. How do you use this as something that can see you through difficult times?
Right. I agree with you because, you know, Eliot in his notes on culture had very beautifully put culture above religion as well. And somehow I felt that that's the best way. And, you know, when Bangladesh sort of became Bangladesh, I thought, you know, we connected closer because we were one culture than perhaps maybe two different religions. So I somehow feel culture has a great aspect. And the CPSC also of late has started some projects on integration of art in your regular academic subjects. And I'm reminded of what you did some years ago, Geeta, when the NCERT had asked you to perform on a particular poem. I think it was Tulsidas or I don't know, Suddas. So maybe I think we will rope you in, you know, at least as a DPS family, to help us out and see how we could integrate art into our academics and curriculum. I think now I will move on. We will ask Soumya Vetal, who's waiting in Varanasi, to ask her question. Soumya, over to you.
Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar.
Ma'am, really pleased to meet you.
Can't see you.
Ma'am, my question is, in Dhyan Shlok, 4 types of abhinaya are mentioned. So how can the audience distinguish them?
Very simple, because Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarva Vangmayam Aharyam Chandra Taradi Tam Numaha Satvikam Shivam. This is the Dhyana Shloka I guess you are referring to. Angikam is the body. How are you using the body to convey? And that is quite obvious. On stage you are using the Anga, Pratyanga, Upanga, which is the major parts of the body, minor parts of the body. You're using the face, you're using your entire body to communicate through pure dance, through your abhinaya, whatever it is. So that is obvious. Vachikam is the spoken word, which is prevalent only in a few styles, like Kuchipudi uses Vachika abhinaya, but we don't use it in many of the other forms. So the spoken word or the sung verses are the Vachika abhinaya, which is less in many of the classical dance forms that you see. Then you have Aharya abhinaya, which is basically costumes. In many, particularly in Kathakali, if you see, each character has a particular costume. And you see that person coming in, you know he's going to play Hanuman, or he's going to play Arjuna or Krishna, whatever. So there's a defined costume that is assigned to that person, and props also you can use. All that becomes Aharya. And then you have Satvika, which is basically the pure essence. That is the hardest to achieve, because it's a combination of so many things when the Satvika abhinaya comes out, and you don't experience it all the time. You only experience it sometimes when in a fleeting moment you feel that very, very closeness to a certain emotion or a certain situation. So Satvika abhinaya is the coming together of many things, and it is the innermost offering that the artist can make. So that is the most complex, and that is the most difficult and the most evolved of all, which takes years of sadhana, not just riyaz, but sadhana, to come to Satvika abhinaya.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Now I got to know about that.
Thank you.
Soumya, do you have any other questions?
Yes, sir. Well, I have one
go
more
ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, how can we distinguish between ras and abhinaya, ras and bhav?
Ras and
Bhava.
Okay. Bhava, this is a little technical, but bhava needs a certain context, but rasa is a pure rasa. Like, you know, I say, that is Adbhuta rasa now. But it's not in a certain context. I have not used a context. So a bhava and a vibhava needs that context which you need to put it into. It's not just a blank thing. Rasa is completely, like a, what do you say, a raw emotion, but it needs a context to be called a bhava. So that context is what we give through a piece or through a character or through various situations that we create, so that you can express that particular rasa in that situation, which then becomes a bhava.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Is that clear, Soumya? Bhava Rasa is
Yes,
clear
sir.
to you?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Thank you, Soumya. My next question is for Geeta again. Geeta, of late, we see a lot of these reality shows that depict classical forms also. I don't know whether it's a positive thing that's happening, because I also know that Hindi films and Tamil films and all your old films have represented classical dance in a very different way. I still remember that film Vanji Kote Valiban. I don't know if you recall that face-off between Vaijanti Mala and Padmini. Yeah, so I don't know whether that has been, it's a good thing that has happened for classical dance, or is it the other way around?
No, I see, we cannot really go back to that time, because at that time, the dance directors in a film used to be Dandayuda Panipillai, Aluru Ramaya Pillai. These were dance directors. So you used Kamala Lakshman, or you used Padmini, Vaijanti, who were all extremely well versed, and for years they have trained as very, very classical dancers, and whatever they do, that body has that aesthetic, and body has the dignity of a dancer. So even if they do a flippant movement, it is not going to look cheap. You see, this is the other thing of learning the classical. You learn how the body, very refined way. You don't trivialize movement. So so that's the other reason why you should learn the classical, because it makes the body move in a certain way, which is very aesthetic. However, now the kind of people who are engaged in films, I don't think they have any kind of formal training in any of the forms. It's not even seen as necessary to know any of the forms, particularly the classical forms. They might be knowing other forms of dance. That's okay, because entertainment, the whole idea of entertainment has changed. We don't have films which are of real people, which talk about issues, which talk about real situations. It's all imaginary. So you have an item song, or you have something that is very, very aspirational for the people, maybe, which they can never see or do. So I think dance has moved, and it has become very, very spectacle oriented. It's a huge set, and of course, spectacle was there then also. You had actually women dancing on hundreds of drums, if you remember. That was a spectacle film that happened. But the fact is that spectacle is of a different kind today, where it is mostly the tracks that you see are based on very fast beats, and the movements are rather borrowed movements, or they are movements which are just generated, which goes with the beat. So it's not necessarily based on any kind of form or any kind of traditional thing. So I think it's a whole shift of how we are viewing entertainment and how we are viewing cinema. Cinema has changed so much over the years. So I think that change has impacted dance in cinema also. This was a subject of a lot of research. A lot of people have done a lot of research on how dance has changed in cinema. So have the themes, so have the characters, so have the people. So you don't see, people talking or struggling with life, or real situations which used to be there earlier. Victory of bad over good, good over bad, or something like that. All that is gone today. You have gangs, and you have all kinds of different kinds of situations. So I think that shift is, of course, we had the parallel cinema that brought beautiful themes out. And hopefully that is coming back now. We see a lot of low budget films which are coming, which are based on real situations. So hopefully that could be one shift that one can see now that the budgets might not be there. We have more lower budgets which have more meaningful cinema. But coming to the reality shows, I think the reality shows are more for TRPs. Nobody cares about dance in that. Nobody cares about what's happening to the children. Nobody cares about what's happening to the parents and their psychology. I think it's only very temporary fame. 1 week till the next champion comes, you are there. After the next one comes, you are out. I don't even remember any of them. They give up education. They give up so many things to come here just for that temporary 1 week fame. And I think it destroys their whole journey as individuals and as creative people. So I do not subscribe to these reality shows at all. It's a money-making game. If you want to be caught in that game, that is your choice. And if you want to ruin your child's life, please go ahead and do it. But it is quick fame, but it is quick disaster.
I agree with you. Well, we'll travel back to Nagpur, where Arshi is waiting for her second question.
Yes, Arshi.
Arshi, go ahead, Bete.
Yes, sir. My second question is, what makes Bharatnatyam unique from other dance forms?
Okay.
Nice. Very nice.
I think I don't want to sound chauvinistic by saying Bharatanatyam is one of the popular forms and it's very glamorous and it is. I don't think that is the case. All dance forms are beautiful and all dance forms have their own individual, what should I say, uniqueness, which is associated with different parts of India in terms of content, in terms of the regional beauty, in terms of poetry, music. If you see an Odissi dance recital, you actually visit Jagannath Ji, you go to the filigree market of the silver thing, you understand the ikkats of Orissa, you understand everything because she's the brand ambassador for Orissa and she just comes there like an apsara and you get to understand everything. And there is normally a Jagannath Ji on the side, standing there presiding over the dance. So I think it's really a peep into the culture, the people, the aesthetics, the craft of that particular region. So each of these forms for me is, I think, very unique. Bharatanatyam is very dear to me because I come from the south and it was a natural choice for me because I was learning Carnatic music also. So Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam go hand in hand. And in my family, everybody was a musician. I mean, in the sense, everybody was learning. They were not performing, but they were all into music. And there was always a rat race to identify the raga, to identify other compositions in the raga. Every breakfast, lunch, table discussion used to be only on how many compositions do you know in Kalyani, how many compositions do you know in Todi. It was like that. So, music was very much integrated in the family and everybody was all the time humming or listening to his master's voice blaring in the house, Chembai Vaidyanatha Bhagavatar or GNB or the greats of that time. So it was a natural choice for me to go into Bharatanatyam. But what is unique about Bharatanatyam is that the connect with the temple, with the sculpture is very obvious in it because even today you go to the temples, you actually see those Natya Shastra depictions of some of the karnas, some of the things. So the connection with history is still there for you to see, So when you go to Tanjavur, you see those beautiful sculptures and you try and, or you go to any of those temples, and Chidambaram. So you see the grandeur of the temple, the architecture of the temple, the architecture of the dance, the Garbhagriha, the first praharam, then the second praharam, all the parikrama, the utsavam, the utsava murti, the entire works, of the celebration, all that is reflected in the dance. So you just feel that live culture still alive there. And when you go there, you feel, wow, this is exactly it. This is what I'm doing. And every time you visit a temple and you come back, and the next time you do an alaripu, you envisage that whole structure on you. You know, you are the structure, and you are playing with your body to create that grandeur of the architecture. So I think that connection, you know, of sculpture, poetry, verses, of, you know, you have the Tevaram singing there. So, you know, you just connect. So I just feel that connection for me is unique to Bharatanatyam, and I feel that is there only with us. So I value that, I respect that, and it's a very humbling feeling that we have managed to maintain still the continuity and the unbroken tradition of years where you actually can see the, you know, some of the Devadasis and their families still there who were actually offering their art to the Lord. So I think that connectivity, the connecting of everything, and that wholeness of culture, you know, that is, I think, very unique to Bharatanatyam. Sorry for being chauvinistic. I'm sorry if
No,
you're a Kathak.
I don't think you sounded chauvinistic at all. Arshi, is that all right? Have you been satisfied with her answer?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you, Arshi. I think it's so easy in a webinar to travel from cities. You know, now we'll move to Nashik from Nagpur. Simran, your next question, beta.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, my second and last question to you is, ma'am, when you were titled as Natya Ratna, so what were your feelings at that time?
Wonderful.
I was very young, and it was given to me by my teacher, my first teacher, who was a Devadasi herself, and actually was a piece of history till I never knew. I knew that much later. Initially, she was just Amma for us. And she had these beautiful nose rings, diamond nose rings on both sides. And she was very daunting. As a 6-year-old, I had gone to her in Pavada Shatte and, you know, started. And I never had seen Tattakari till then, the wooden stick with which they beat. So all that was very, it's a completely different new experience for me. And after about 10 or 11 years of training, I did Marangetram, and the title of Natya Ratna was given to me by my teacher to me. So it means so much to me, because that was my initial first training that I had. And the training was not like what you have today. It was 3 days a week, and there was a fixed time to go. There was no fixed time to come back, because we used to first go, we used to see the seniors dance. It was mandatory for us to sit and do put talam and sit while the seniors were dancing, because she used to always say, you must know what you're working towards. So it's you know, otherwise a journey where you embark on without knowing what you're going to work towards. So she used to always say, sit and put the talam and sit there and sing, either sing with me or do. After that, we used to have our own class. And after our class, we had the little children come in. I mean, younger than us, and we were expected to stand in front and show them the adabus. So I think the 3-pronged learning. So it was about, you know, 3 to 3.5 hours to 4 hours of class, and that is thrice a week. And so we had homework and other things before and planned before. So I think a very rigorous kind of thing, and you know, it is a very different approach of the Isai Velar community to teach, but they're very giving. They just wanted to pour out, you know. So my teacher never waited till I actually, today, for example, unless you are completely, a piece is completely a finished product, we don't move to the next piece. They were not like that. They just believed in giving, you know. So by the time I was 12, I had about 4 varnams, I had about 5 alaripus, I had about, you know, 6 tillanas. So I was like pumped in, you know, with so much material that there was nothing that I didn't know about the Tanjavur style of dance, you know, in terms of pieces. I knew all their main focus items, with pieces which they did. So this was a great way of teaching of theirs, where I think I always compared it to a huge water body, where they pushed you into the deep and made you understand the entire width, length and breadth of the water. The depth was for you to find out. So but they gave you the entire water body. So I think that was a different way of approaching teaching. So I think yes, Natya Ratna was a very important, it was not a title, but it was really marking the completion of my initial training with her. And what she gave me was absolutely invaluable, because subsequently she gave me a lot of other things, but what she gave me was that essence of Bharatanatyam.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for clearing my doubts.
Yeah. Simran, have you got a blue blazer anytime?
No, sir. Not
Okay.
yet.
I think you will resonate with Geeta ji's feelings when you get the blue blazer. All right. All
Yes,
the
sir.
best to you, Simran.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Thank you, Bete. Geeta ji, I will do the audience a lot of injustice if we end the webinar without a few expressions of yours. So I will request you to show us the Navarasas.
Yes, I think that would be nice. Well, Sringara is considered to be the Rasaraj, because it has shades of all the rasas in it, and so it is considered to be the king of rasas. And dancers very laboriously learn lots of compositions to actually. I need some kind of music, but okay, anyway, let me just do it without any music. Basically, Sringara is between man and a woman, is what it is said. It could be nature, it could be many things. Since in Abhinaya Darpana we don't have Vatsalya, many people say, why is Vatsalya not part of the Navarasas? Bhakti is not part of Navarasas. So I think these were subsequently seen and added to the list. But in the 9, you don't find Vatsalya and Bhakti. So anyway, Sringara is basically coming together, love, unconditional love, experiencing that. So we take a lot of imagery when we do Sringara from nature, because that is very close and it resonates. So if somebody is doing this, it means that she's going to, or he is going to begin the Sringara, because this bee and the lotus is a basic, very, very symbolic representation of Sringara, or two birds coming together is again a beautiful way of Sringara, or deer going together is also Sringara. So of course, Sringara in the more physical manifestation would be this. Just a look. So all this becomes a playful Sringara. Come on. Chhed-chad is part of Shringar. So holding the hand, leaving the hand, all this becomes playful Sringara. Veera is valor. Valor is, of course, again, in many stories, you see a lot of kings, you rulers, you see many politicians, you're reminded of Veera Rasa. So all this of, I am the ultimate. Who are all of you? What are you before me? Come, I'll take you on. I am the strongest. So this becomes Veera. Karunya, in today's context, everybody is experiencing it. You just have to see that, imagine that migrant worker going and dying on the road. That is Karuna. At least we can do is at least pray for her and sympathize and see what did you do to deserve this? And what did we do that we are not able to help you? That is Karuna. That is, I mean, we should die. We are talking about such refined emotions here when people are going hungry, people are walking. So the least one can do is pray. So that is Karuna. That at least one must not lose Because I hear many people saying, we are safe, we should be bothered about ourselves. What can we do about the others?
True.
Yes, we can't do in a physical thing, but we can at least empathize, we can at least feel, we can at least pray for them. So I think that is empathy, that is compassion, that is karuna. So that happens, the third rasa. Then of course is adbhuta. Adbhuta as the apathy. How can you be so apathetic? Oh my God. Ha, ha. I've never seen such people. I've never seen such policemen who can beat up people. My God. I'm just relating it to the current situation simply because this is what happened. So adbhuta in that context is, what is this? Is it even possible for people to behave like this? Is it possible for a silly politician to say corona go away and it's going to go away? That's adbhuta for me. Really, it's adbhuta. That people are mindless, people are just not able to focus and think, and people are not giving up their petty differences and coming together. It's adbhuta. My God, how can this be? Raudra, anger. I think we are all experiencing it at some point today because we are boxed in. The pent-up anger. What do I do? How can I get out from this? Another lockdown? Another 15 days? Another 20 days? What do I do? Your breath, everything. Very, very negative emotion, I think, if not channelized. But we need to take stock of it and keep control. As Shiva in his Nataraja, dancing on the Apasmara Purusha, says that keep your egos and anger. You can only keep it under control. You can't kill it. That Rakshasa is not killed. That Rakshasa is kept suppressed. So anger needs to be suppressed, as Shiva says. Then you have Bhivatsa, disgust. Disgusting. What's happening around is disgusting. Look at these masks all the time. Disgusting. You've reduced. I look at the little children. This is the future you're giving them. Chee, disgusting. Children born now are going to actually, maybe 1-year-olds will have to wear masks. Chee. Life is not worth living if it's like this. Disgust. So that's disgust for you. Or bhibhatsa, which is the emotion that goes with it. Then you have hasya, which we've lost. We have actually laughter clubs to laugh. Isn't that funny? Isn't that absolutely hilarious that we've forgotten to laugh and we go to the park to laugh? Oh my God, this is hilarious. So that's laughter for you. Of course, bhaya, which is, I think today experienced. I don't know what the future has for us. Can we do this? Can't we do this? My God, will I have my job? How will I feed my children? Should I go to my village or should I stay here? If I go there, how will I live? If I stay here, who's going to take care of me? Such difficult decisions. That's fear. And Shantam, of course, is an aspirational rasa nowadays, because even if you sit in meditation, thoughts keep coming. So how do you erase and delete these and keep your hard drive free of all viruses and keep it as clear and as focused as possible? That's Shanta.
All that I can say is this, Geeta ji. Wonderful expressions, lovely depiction of the Navarasas in the context of the pandemic today. It was brilliant and awesome talking to you. We hope to have you over again in school very soon once the lockdown opens. Thank you so much for sparing your time. Good day.
Thank
Shabbat khair. Shubhratri.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.